want to get out. Welcome everybody to the Newman City Council regular meeting of March 13th. Please stand for the pledge. Ready again? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Councilman Hutchins.
Father, we thank you for this night. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for the rain. We just ask for more of it. And we just ask that you'll be with us, help us to make good decisions tonight for the city. And we just praise you and thank you. In Christ's name we pray.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilor Davis. Present. Hutchins.
Present.
Candia.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Martina.
Present.
Mayor King.
Present. Thank you. Item 5, declaration of conflicts of interest. Seeing none, we'll go to item 6, ceremonial matters. A, presentation by Superintendent Tom Young to discuss the outcome of year 1 and plans for year 2 regarding the Choose Civility campaign. Tom, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's a pleasure to be back to this wonderful community that you have here. And the good news is, this is going to be a brief report, but I just wanted to give you an update on where we are with year 2 of the Civility Initiative. As you know, it's a countywide initiative, and we're very excited and pleased with the results of the first year of this. And we thank you for your participation, the resolution that you passed. All 9 of our local city councils have passed the Choose Civility resolution, and we're very excited about that. So I'm going to move through this quickly, but at the same time I wanted to let you know of some of the things that are happening. We know there's 3 reasons why we selected this Choose Civility initiative. It's a core community value. We ask people, especially in our larger urban areas, please get to know the people in your neighborhoods. That's how we can become more vibrant neighbors. If we have neighbors that we know, you can go outside on a weekend and talk to them and visit. And unfortunately, because of garage door openers and homes that aren't built with front porches anymore, we don't know the neighbors like we should. And so it's a core community value. We also know that civil dialogue is critical in decision making. And so many times we see places where we conduct business, and we have elected officials or appointed officials, and emotions get heated, and we don't have a civil dialogue, and we have to be role models for children. And those are the 3 reasons why we are promoting this. And one of the things that is a concern still is this chart at the bottom, and this says, you know, we know what they say about government and politics and traffic and the talk radio, but they surveyed thousands of students and staff at high schools throughout California, and 59% felt that their high school was an uncivil, unsafe place to be. That's really a sad statement, because how can you create a learning environment when young people don't feel, and adults don't even feel safe there? They're like looking over their shoulder to make sure that somebody's not after them or something. So we need to work on that. And the number 1 cause of that, of course, is bullying. And we know that it's intentional, it's aggressive behavior, and it involves a victim. You read about it all the time. I tell people the number 1 reason parents call the county office and ask for referrals to other schools or charter schools or this and that, it's because my child is getting harassed or bullied at school. And it's something that we just have to address. It's sad that it doesn't always, it's not the person that looks like the bully when I was a kid growing up, but bullying comes now in all different places, and it comes in different social medias now with cyberbullying that you hear about. So that's something that we have to do. This is what we want for the vision of this county. Stanislaus County to be known throughout the state for its healthy, vibrant, thriving communities. We know we can do it because we did it with our fitness initiative the last 2 years, being the number 1 county in the state of California. So we're well on our way to doing this. So the goals of the campaign, it's really twofold: promote civility, the importance of it in a world that's less civil, and also to encourage your community members to just be better people. Be a better family man, dad, a community person, and in your work and personal lives. These are the 12 principles. We don't have to go over those. The common thing that I get from most people is to say, well, that's just what Grandma used to tell me all the time, And it's not rocket science. These are the 12 principles out of 25 that our Board of Advisors voted on a couple years ago. And it's no mistake that number 1, listen, was the unanimous choice of everyone. They just said if we just listened and did it in a more respectful manner, we would have a lot more healthier communities in Stanislaus County. And all of those, they just it just goes on to say, I'll just talk real quick about this Speak Kindly. The other day I was visiting one of our local high schools. They asked me to come and talk about careers. And as I was walking down the hall during passing time, students were just, it was like I wasn't even there. And they were carrying on conversation. I was walking to these two guys, and their conversation got louder and louder, and the language they were using was just awful. And it escalated to the point I thought they were going to get in a fight with each other. So I just gently put my hand on one of them, and I said, "Sir, excuse me, do we have a problem here?" And he looked at me and he says, "Well, no, this is the way we talk to each other all the time." And how sad that our young people feel that they have to use such offensive language just when they have a conversation with one another. I said, you wouldn't talk to your parents that way or use language like that around your siblings. And so speak kindly, you know, it says a lot. In year one, we have 44 people that are on our community board of advisors, 59 business partners, all of those things. You can see we did really great things. We had 63 Choose Civility presentations throughout the county. We launched an online store. We had a Facebook, so that's going really well. Our Facebook, our website gets lots of hits. Almost 7,000 people went to our website to look about what they can do, resources, and other things that people are doing. In year one, we were a major participant in the Amgen in Stanislaus County and the county fair booth, and we had a number of civility speakers. We had 5 partner projects last year. One included the Modesto Nuts, our local professional team. Their theme for the entire season was Nuts for Civility. So we trained their players on what to say and how to go out and make presentations to classrooms, to talk to young people about the importance of character as a professional and just being a better person. And Fair for All, the Stanislaus County Fair gave us 5,000 tickets to the fair for students and parents. And they were donated, and we gave those out to schools, and they recognized students and family members for the character traits that we're trying to promote. And then the Gallo Center for the Arts, they have that marquee, and they have our Choose Civility logo there. Also, Love Modesto last year was June 25th, and we were a big part of the Love Modesto. And this year it's branched out into several cities now, and we're another big part of that. And the Modesto Bee had monthly editorials about each of the principals, a number of art contests. They average, and this is so great, they average over 400 art displays every time they have one of the contests for elementary schools. And this is what I'm talking about right here. Little boy down here in the sandbox, but they write, "I'm sorry." You know, for middle school youngsters, those are the 2 hardest words for a middle school youngster to say is "I'm sorry." And that's sad. But here we're promoting it and teaching it, so that's a good thing. Media coverage has been excellent. We can't thank our local papers and media outlets enough for the amount of publicity that we're getting in the local papers. And schools are just doing great things. We have 164 schools in Stanislaus County that are involved some way in this campaign, character counts, peace builders programs, anything that has to do. And they post it on our website so people can go and see, well, what's this other school doing, and maybe we could implement some of that. And so all the schools are doing great things. We have a number of government and other agencies that are on board with us, and that's really great as well. And these are more business partners. I do want to give credit to Moxie Credit Union, because they were the ones that, remember I came and I bought books for everybody, and I didn't really buy those books. They were donated by Moxie Credit Union for that. But Vintage Fair Mall just came on as a new partner. There's 130 stores out at the mall. They're asking for our posters to put in their windows. They said, even the mall sometimes isn't a very civil place on a Friday night. Get people running around out there, and they're not being civil with one another. So these are just samples of people that have become business partners, so we're really excited about that. And other counties, I gave a presentation to our statewide organization, 58 counties in the state. I did the presentation, and I'm happy to say now we've added 2 more counties to this list. We've added Imperial County and Monterey County, and they are now using the same logo, Choose Civility, and they're launching that in each one of their counties. So we have 7 counties altogether in the state now that are promoting this Choose Civility initiative. Just being nicer to other people, be respectful of people. So we're very excited about that. So in year 2, we had our big launch in November, and in that one day, our big thing is we want to get more business partners, more people to come on board. And then you say, well, what do I have to do as a business? Let me get my wallet out here. No, it doesn't cost a thing to be a business partner. All we want is to be able to use your name to add to our list on our website. So people go to the website and say, wow, look at all these businesses that are supporting this. It must be something that is worthwhile. And you get t-shirts and you get all kinds of extras when you become a business partner. Let me just tell you, in that one afternoon, we sent volunteers that said, I'll give up some time on my work and I'll go out to local businesses and I'll knock on their door and say, would you please become a business partner of this? They came back with 102 business partners in one afternoon. So that was a great way to launch our second year of the Choose Civility. We have 13 satellite libraries in Stanislaus County to go with the main branch, and they have come on board with us, and each month they have identified a book of the month, and it has to do with character or something to do with civility. And the librarian told me they're being checked out like hotcakes. The kids and the parents, they like this stuff, so we're really happy about that. And one of the other things is we're trying to encourage people to become business partners, because that tells us that, you know what, this isn't just a school issue, this is a societal issue, civility. And businesses can really help out. So if you know people, they can go to our website. All you have to do is say, hey, I'd like to be a business partner, and then we'll send you all kinds of free goodies, and then you're on board with us. So we tell people, if you have meetings, and we ask that you put civility on as an agenda item, and just put it on there and talk about it, and see what people have to say. These are sample posters that we have. These are resolutions. We don't have to talk to you about that. You're already on board. And these are just different things. Mr. DiMartini, look at, he got on board, put that on his car. Oh, what's that? No, that's not really his car. That's not his car. It's the mayor's car, of course. But we have T-shirts and pins and wrist bracelets and all this kind of stuff. But this was good. Dot Foods came on board as a business partner. They said, you know what? We like the T-shirts, but can we put our own design on it? We said, so they had 500 of their own T-shirts made, and then they put Dot Foods on the sleeve, but to Choose Civility. And so we're really excited. Whatever you want to do with it and how you want to take it. But then on Friday, Employee Casual Day, then they let the employees wear those Choose Civility. So we're really excited about that. Here's our Facebook. So we tell people, like us on Facebook. We want to get 1,000 people liking us on Facebook this year, so we're really excited about that. Here's what we have. We've got in Modesto, the B this year, they have the teens in the newsroom are writing about civility, because that was the big thing this year. Well, you know what we want to do? We want to get more high school kids involved, middle school and high school, because sometimes they're mean-spirited, especially at that middle school. So we're having teens write about it, and hopefully, they all read that in the newspaper. There's a side rail about it, and banners. Everybody likes to see banners. We've ordered banners. Soon they'll be in downtown Modesto. On the street corners, you'll see all the different character traits that we'll have each month. And in Turlock, they purchased, and they're going to have those downtown in Turlock as well. Save the dates. Look at this. April 28th is the Love City Day, and we're going to be out in full action. That's going to be another Action Day project. And next October, this will be a big Choose Civility Action Week. We have all kinds of great things. We got speakers coming in, presenters. It's going to be great. It's wonderful. So before I close, I want to read just 2 testimonials. I get hundreds of these now. Somebody said, Tom, you ought to make a collection or something like this. But I wanted to read you this one. It says, Tom, I feel compelled to send you a thank you note for your work with the Civility Initiative that your office is sponsoring. I was in the audience at the Ceres City Council meeting and happened to have my 13-year-old son with me. Your presentation made the meeting for us, as we talked about it pretty much the whole time on our drive home to Oakdale. We both concluded that individual people and small acts of civility can make all the difference in the big picture. It is refreshing to see this kind of effort in our community, as he says, I consider it a privilege to live and raise my family here in Stanislaus County. So, somebody just happened to be at the meeting and heard it, and it started a conversation. Since then, he's become a business partner. And then this one, it says, on behalf of the County Board of Supervisors and the department heads and myself, I'd like to thank you for the presentation in the past month. It says, I've heard from several of my elected officials and department heads regarding how much the content and context of your message resonated with each of them. Civility speaks to our core values and to our civic responsibility to improve social behaviors within our Stanislaus communities. It says your dedication to this initiative has been instrumental in setting about a change, one that is increasing civility awareness from schoolyards to the government podium. And it says, in collaboration with our Stanislaus Office of Education Partners, we are committed to promoting civil behavior and making civility in the public forum a community-wide priority. And so it just goes on and on. So we know that we're making a difference. Schools report fewer discipline behavior issues because they're talking about it more in the playground, they're talking about it in the classroom. It does make a difference. And I thank you for your time. I'll finish with a statement, a quote from Mahatma Gandhi, and it can't be all that bad if it's coming from this. So here it is right here. There's a song that goes to it, but we'll avoid the song. It's Louis Armstrong's song, What a Wonderful World. Goes quicker when the music is playing. I could sing the song, but no, you don't want that. You don't want that. Anyway, so we're asking people, what do you want our destiny to be in this county, and how can we improve on that? We always talk about the image of Modesto and Stanislaus County, and that's what we're about. We just want people to get along, to respect one another, and live in a civil manner. And thanks to you, it's working great. I'm going out this time now and doing all the reports to city councils, cutting it down, but just thanking you for your participation, your support, and models of civility. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, city council members. I appreciate the time.
So we're going to do the Patterson Riverbank anytime soon?
Well, as a matter of fact, yes. Woo! Yes, indeed I am. In fact, Mr. Molina had me out there when he first came on board, and after I did my presentation, it wasn't 5 minutes later and somebody whispered to me, I thought you just talked about civility. Say no more. Okay, I am going to pass out some bookmarks for everybody, if you don't mind.
No problem. Any questions of Tom, any comments? I think you do a fantastic job with that, Tom, and I think as a council, I think we do a pretty good job of practicing civility, and, everybody gets along really well, even though we may disagree, but in the end, everybody goes home friends, and that's what it's about.
That's exactly right. And you are really one of our model city councils in Stanislaus County. We really commend you for what you do and how you role model for it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. We'll move on to item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Any member of the public wish to address the council, now it's time to do it. Kat.
Actually want to thank him for going first because I'm talking about the Love Newman Day. So it works perfect with this, so I appreciate that. We are having Love Newman Day. It is April 28th. We're going to be meeting at the plaza at 8 a.m. We're going to have a band there that's going to be doing acoustic music so as not to disturb anyone who might still be sleeping, even though I think they should be up helping us. But it's a community service day where people are just going to come in and volunteer for programs that are coming about now. Right now, we have 3 of them on the books, and those are from the city. We're working, or actually 4. The West Side Theater is now doing a program. Just spoke with the police chief, and we're working on another couple programs possibly with that. Maybe through the school district, we're working on a couple things. And again, it's just a day for the community to volunteer. All you have to do is you go to lovenewman.com, you sign up, you show up, you work for a couple hours, you go home. But the goal is that these people that are going to come and do this, that they'll want to volunteer again in the future. There is another Love Day, and that's in September. So as we do this day, it might be a small beginning for us to start as a love project. But in September 29th is the next one that they have planned. And on that one, hopefully people will get the idea and we'll just continue to grow. So I just thought you guys might want to know about it. Anyone have any questions? Oh, and I'm Kat Lightsey, by the way. I always forget to introduce myself.
Any questions, comments? Thanks, Kat,
No.
putting that together, and I'm sure there'll be lots of people there. And I'm sure they'll see members of this council there as well.
Well, very good, very good. If you guys have questions or comments or suggestions even on projects, feel free to call me. My number's everywhere. And the flyers will be out coming up this next week that we're going to be putting in the stores for people to go to the website to start signing up, because that should be up and running by then.
Thanks,
So,
Kat.
thank you.
Okay, item 8, consent calendar. A, waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions set by title. B is approval of the warrants. C is approval of the minutes of February 28, 2012 regular meeting. E is report on the Newman City Code Title 11, Public Ways and Property, Section 11.02.030, Public Ways Projects and Fees. E is adopt resolution number 2012, next to number, resolution approving an alternate method of appointment as the basis for determining city's share of LAFCO operating expenses by substituting total revenue with assessed value in the established formula. Council direction.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull warrant number 101257 for separate consideration.
Okay, with the pulling of warrant number 101257 as separate action, motion to approve.
I'm going to approve the consent calendar.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Beginning with warrant number 101257.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I apologize for the late request on this, but I was just wondering what this pushing out cameras and pushing out cases is.
These are portable high-resolution cameras that photograph based on motion. We can move them around the city depending on if there are trouble areas that we're getting hit with graffiti or other types of acts of vandalism or theft within the city. We can move those around. We can mount them on a...
Everybody got microphones on?
We can mount them on telephone poles, trees, whatever, wherever we need to do so. It's really a portable security system. Is the way we're doing it, and the fact of the matter was these hunting type cameras that you put in and take pictures of wildlife actually work best for us. So.
Thank you. I'll make a motion, we approve warrant number 101257.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9 is public hearings. A, second reading and adoption of ordinance number 2012, next to number, and ordinance amending Title 8, Health and Sanitation, Chapter 8.02.150, Property Maintenance and Nuisance Violations, Penalties of the Newman City Code. Chief.
Evening, Mayor, council members. Recommendation tonight would be to open a public hearing and conduct a second reading of ordinance number 2012, next to number, revision to section 8.02 property maintenance and nuisance, adding administrative fines to section 8.02150 to the violation and penalties. As you're aware, the city of Newman has an ordinance that controls property maintenance, and section 8.02150 addresses the penalties, which is currently a misdemeanor. As you know, with our court systems the way they are nowadays, getting a misdemeanor through at this type of level through our superior court system is not very likely. So authorizing the option for administrative fine would assist the city in compliance efforts in the area of public health and safety and overall general welfare of surrounding properties. We believe that compliance would be better achieved by the use of administrative fine opposed to the potential of prosecution of this misdemeanor in superior court. Any revenue generated by this new code section would be staying local also, which is a positive. And although we couldn't determine what the number of fines would be, so we cannot determine the revenue that we would generate at this time. In conclusion, staff believes that the option for administrative fine would streamline the property abatement process by achieving better compliance during the abatement process. Also, the administrative fine would serve as a deterrent to property owners to remain responsible and keep their properties in order. Based on the information contained in the report, the following options are available for you tonight. Adopt the ordinance revisions as written, adopt the ordinance revision with any changes, and reject the ordinance in its entirety. With that, I'll answer any questions.
Any questions of the chief? Well, I guess we kind of let the cat out of the bag about taking them to court on misdemeanor charges, huh?
We didn't. I don't think it's uncommon, or I think everyone's well aware of what our court systems are
I
doing
think they
nowadays.
are too. I think they are too.
If I could, we are actually going to come back with another revision to potentially increase what those administrative fines might be, excuse me, based on the bill that Councilman Hutchins pointed out last meeting.
Great, great. Okay, with that, we'll open the public hearing. Anybody wish to address the council regarding this issue? Seeing none, we'll close it, bring it back to council for direction.
I'll make a motion, okay, I will adopt the second reading and adoption of the ordinance as written. An ordinance amending Title 8, Health and Sanitation, Chapter 8.02.150, 8.02.150, property maintenance and nuisance, violations, penalties of the Newman City Code.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Chief. Okay, we'll go to item 10, regular business. A, report on ordinances and billing procedures related to service disconnection. Lou?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Newman City Council. 2 council meetings ago, staff was asked to prepare a report about our city ordinances regarding utilities. Attached to your report this evening are several pages of related ordinances. Also in the report is a timeline between billing and actually being shut off for non-payment. You'll notice that a resident has, from the time the utility bill is mailed out, roughly 60 days to pay the bill before having their services turned off. Of course, if they wait that long, they will incur late charges. Included in the report also is a typical timeline of ordinance violation with regard to utilities. The report does not refer to any particular address. We have found both here and in other cities that this path is typical of those who make the decision to violate city ordinances with regard to utilities. When reviewing these ordinances, there are a couple things we should keep in mind. Number one, each of these services is a separate enterprise and is self-funding and self-sufficient. That is, water revenues are specifically used to cover water expenses, sewer for sewer and garbage for garbage. Number two, the residents of the community each pay into each of these service enterprises so that we as a community can receive a greater benefit at a lower cost than if we each try to secure these services on our own. Now, residents' individual utility bills are private, and I ask that if you have any questions, let's keep them general and not specific to a particular address. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions of Lou?
just-
Or, I just for myself, I, have read the attachments and everything, and it seems to me that we're very, very lenient. And having, in my prior life, knowing that people tend to try to cut corners and using, illegal methods to obtain not only city services, but, power from PG&E and everything. I think what I also have found that our city staff is just really willing to work with people and give them benefit of the doubt and help. But I think it's when they start cutting the corners, when they start tapping into our meters or cutting locks off, and there has to be a charge for every time somebody does something. They have to be held accountable for that. And I think our system works, and for those who tend to violate it and break the law, they're held accountable for it. And I personally, I'm comfortable with our ordinance the way it is. So I'm not sure, any other comments?
No, I'm fine with the ordinance.
Okay.
I've got a couple, and go ahead.
Go ahead, Roberta.
I have a problem with E. In case water is used through the meter or the property becomes vacant, nevertheless, the regular minimum rate shall be charged and collected from the owner. If you don't get any water, why are you paying for water?
Well, there's 2 parts to the utility bill as regards to water. You have the consumption, there's also a flat rate. The flat rates are pretty much set up to cover fixed costs that are related to that fund. For example, bond costs. We have an outstanding bond, outstanding loans. No matter how much water is used, the bond payment is still the same. So that cost is spread out in a fixed portion to the residents. If somebody doesn't use any water, there is no consumption charged to that individual. But costs that would vary with water would be, for example, like the electricity for the pumps. The more water that's pumped in the system, the higher the utility cost for running that pump. So there's 2 different pieces to it. If a resident is in a house, that water is connected to the house and is available for them to use at a moment's notice, whether they use it or not. It's kind of like a Comcast bill. If you have a cable connected to your house, whether you turn on your TV or not, you're still paying the service for it.
No, if the water has been turned off, I turn my tap, no, I've never had this problem, but if I turn my tap and I get no water, why do I have to pay the same $60-some a month that the person next door gets water?
You pay $10.90 for the water service. That's just the flat rate that everybody pitches in to cover our flat cost for the city.
I understood that, I took a listen not too long ago, as you know. It was in foreclosure, went down eventually. But my understanding was that she was getting a bill for $60-some every month with no water usage.
Well, that would be for 3 different services. So there's a sewer service that's connected to the house. That's a permanent connection, It's open, it's unmetered, anything can be dumped down at any time. Then there's the water, which is the ones I explained earlier in the garbage service. If there are garbage cans at the house, they can put garbage in them, put them out in the front, and Bertolotti will pick them up. They don't know whether an account is not paid their account or not. There's no way to really monitor that other than you'd have to give a list to Bertolotti every single day before they hit that house to pick up the cans.
Okay, water had been turned off, so there's no reason to pay for water. The garbage cans have been removed, so there's no reason to pay for them.
And at that point, the garbage cans
So,
were,
$60-some a month for what? A sewer that you can't put water down if you buy it someplace and bring it in there and put it down?
Well, you
That's
could.
not right.
any water that she brings into that property, or whoever brings into that property, can dump it down the drain, along with anything else. So it's one of those connections that's there constantly to the house. With garbage, once the garbage cans are pulled, they are no longer billed for garbage can service.
That's, well,
And then they fall into the other regulation that they're
yes.
required to file a deposit with us and have to haul their garbage weekly up to Fink Road, keep certificates on it and receipts.
They were being charged the $60-some a month that everybody's charged. And I don't think that's right. If PG&E shuts off my power, they don't bill me. They want what I owe them when they shut it off, but they don't bill me after that.
Well, that's
not
correct, but
right.
theirs is a different kind of setup. But the way we have to do is we follow what the city ordinance says.
Well, I think it needs to
The
be
finance
changed.
department doesn't set the city ordinance, that's done by council.
That's why I think this part of it needs to be changed.
Well, that would be up to the council to decide that.
Quick question, do we know because we keep talking about flat rates, do we know what the flat rates? They're $10.90 for water, what's the flat rate for sewage? Okay, and the flat rate for, well, if the garbage cans are pulled, then according to the code, they're no longer charged for them anyway, right?
That's correct. So the only charges that would be charged to that property would be the flat rate for water, which is basically to cover the flat rates of the city, and then a sewer connection, which is an open connection, plus any other additional charges, either for late payments or any damage done to the meters or done to any of our equipment on the property.
The only thing that I see with this is under 11.05.270, which I think is about the third page back. I would like to see staff come up with one just like the police department did and make this an administrative fine rather than because we're never going to get a water violation in a muni court.
We can look at that, but, we're already gonna be challenged that they're not even paying water and sewer bill, so chances of getting the.
Well, I understand for this particular instance, but there's other instances where, they're messing with the meter, they're doing this, those are actually misdemeanors. I just don't see us getting anywhere with those.
Sure. Yeah, if the council concurs with that, we can come back as staff and present you options, what it sounds like you'd like us to do and move forward.
Well, something like the police department just did is basically the exact same thing, except it's a different part of the property.
I don't have a problem. I think, and I know we probably handle these pretty much on a case-by-case basis. And I think I asked the question after that last meeting, again, without identifying the house or names or whatever, but there had been a problem with this residence, Chief? Is that what I understand?
That is correct.
So, in that regard, I guess part of me, is, again, I just from previous experience, I know our staff will go out of their way to try to help people and do as much as they can. But when people are out there, cutting locks off, breaking our meters, where it's incurring costs of our staff to go out and make these repairs, those people got to be held accountable for that. I just don't think that someone, because they have their service turned off, if they're going by other means to keep getting a service provided to them for nothing, and at the cost of damage to city property, I think there lies the problem that I have. If it's just somebody who's down and out and they have a problem, and I think our staff is willing to work with them and try to help in any way we can. But when there's damage being incurred by those people, then I just kind of take a little bit different stance.
And I agree with that. I think that if, rather than charge them based on water, if they're gonna start tearing things up, we start fining them rather than try to charge them criminally, because basically that's the only way you can get with it, or get them money back, is to charge them criminally. I'd rather them be fined. I think we can do a lot more with fines than we can with charges. You know, it's just like Tom was saying a while ago with the other one. We can get a lot, and it's not about making money, it's a deterrent. If you get charged $1,000 rather than $10, you're liable to think twice about doing it again.
I agree with fines. It's charging for something you're not getting that I have a problem with. That's the only problem I have with this.
So it's my understanding then that, is it council consensus that like to have staff to bring back under that one section 11.05.270 under penalties, some new wording? Is that what I'm hearing?
I would agree with that, looking for administrative remedies rather than making them criminal remedies.
Bob?
I have no problem with that. I think that we're just wasting our time with this. You know, these people have tried to circumvent the system. They abused the system. Our city workers have gone out and they've wasted their time. And police departments wasted their time. I just can't condone that sort of thing. I don't think it's right for the citizens of Newman to have to put up with that. I'm not opposed to going back and looking at administrative.
Mayor?
Yes.
From a processing perspective, would the council indulge us and let us bring us back maybe early May to help us get through this period of the move? It gives us about 45 days to get something to you.
Sure.
On that.
Sure.
Everybody okay with that?
Oh, yeah, fine.
Okay. Very good. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Lou. Item B is adopt resolution number 2012, next number, a resolution authorizing a supplemental agreement and budget adjustment in the amount of $48,005 to the city engineer services agreement for the design of Highway 33 and Inyo Avenue intersection improvements with AECOM, and authorize city manager to execute said agreement. Garner.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As you stated, item before you tonight is to consider approving a budget adjustment and a supplemental agreement for professional services for the design of intersection improvements for the Highway 33 and Inyo Avenue. At the intersection of Highway 33 and Inyo Avenue, it currently is not completed. There's curb gutter and sidewalk that is lacking, and there's also some health and safety concerns with the configuration it is right now. In addition to that, as some of you may have noticed, AutoZone did break ground today.
Yes.
That's going to increase traffic in that area, especially our turning movements, and those are typically the worst opportunity for someone to have another accident of that nature. And so turning movements are really important to ensure that they're done in a proper and safe manner. In describing the current conditions in long-term circulation needs, it's necessary to compare existing traffic volumes and future forecasts using a term called level of service, an LOS. Threshold as a qualitative measure of traffic operating conditions where letter grade A through F is assigned. A being optimum conditions, F being the worst conditions. In the City of Newman general plan, their goal is to have a level of service of C, which is light congestion with occasional backups on critical approaches. Currently, this intersection is operating at a level of service of D during AM peak hour and a level of service of C during PM peak hour. However, at the general plan build out, they're anticipating this project to be at this intersection to be a level of service of F, which would be a total breakdown with stop and go operation. The ultimate build out of this intersection and the signalization of this intersection, then it would be projected to be a level of service of C, which is meet the goal of the general plan. Currently, the observed traffic volumes satisfy Caltrans warrants for peak hour volume, but not the peak hour warrant predicated on total delay at the intersection. In order to install traffic signals at the intersection, would need to meet the traffic volumes to satisfy Caltrans traffic warrants. Therefore, this project is to design the intersections at ultimate build-out in accordance with the general plan, including the traffic signals. However, the signals would not be put in at this time due to them not meeting the traffic signal warrants. This project would install the curb gutters, sidewalk, handicap ramps, paving, and street lights, and underground facilities for the traffic signals, but we would not put the signals in at this time. Construction of these improvements is planned to be in fiscal year 12-13 and 13-14, with funding coming from our regional surface transportation funds through StanCog and through developer fees and traffic impact fees. Therefore, staff recommends City Council approve a supplemental agreement and a budget adjustment for $48,005 for city engineer services for professional engineering services for the design of the Highway 33 and Inyo Avenue intersection improvements with AECom, and authorize the city manager to execute said agreements. At this time, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Gunnar, what does it take for us to get to the level of a traffic signal going in?
We would have to satisfy Caltrans's traffic warrants for the volumes, and I don't have those numbers with me currently, but I can get those for you.
Would those volumes not be the same as it was on these intersections? Would those numbers would not be the same? I mean, the criteria that we met.
They would have a similar criteria. We did a traffic survey. There was a traffic survey that was completed that determined that that intersection still did not meet those warrants at that time. I don't know if these intersections met the warrants and Caltrans was able to get those signals put in at that time.
Seems to me that traffic would, just by the volume of trucks that come off of Inyo Street from what used to be F&A is now Saputo and the steel plant and all those other areas, there's trucks coming out of there all the time.
Well, there was a survey done that Caltrans has, and
Yeah.
they're fully aware that we're currently not meeting their demands. We can approach them again and ask, as a result of this project, if they would be willing to allow us to resurvey it, but we just did a survey
The traffic study was done with
AutoZone, right?
approval of the AutoZone project. Now, keep in mind, we're actually talking with another potential retailer in that, for a project site in that vicinity. If that one goes in, you're gonna be very close. By the time we get to 13-14 and get our money from StanCog, we'll be very close, so we'll have to go back. And to specifically address your question, Mayor, Caltrans standards have changed since Merced and Kern put in, so they've gotten a little bit more stringent. I know Gustine is actually struggling right now to get a signal at their four-way. I mean, think about that. That's a pretty heavy-duty signal. And our traffic engineer indicated to us that they're having challenges getting Caltrans to approve that. And that's really, if you think about it, two state highways, right? 140 and 33 come into each other, and I think they always got traffic there. So, not to say that they're not going to, but they're challenged there. So,
There may be in the future, as you're saying, if the other developer comes into town with the AutoZone and in the future mine, that may be a lot more traffic volume, that at that point we could be prepared to put the signals in, and that's why we want to prepare for that.
The configuration of that intersection, aren't they gonna have to acquire some land?
There would be more than likely some right-of-way that we would have to acquire.
I'm just wondering with AutoZone going in, their property would have to be taken.
We've already negotiated for that right-of-way. We already actually own that right-of-way for the ultimate configuration.
that right-of-way was through council action many years ago when the RDA originally took it.
Okay.
Got a hold of the property, and when I say took it, I mean purchased it, fixed it, and then sold it to Mr. Bigelow. They took out the right-of-way before they sold it to Mr. Bigelow. So we've already in possession of the right-of-way necessary to improve that corner, which would be the northwest corner. Now the southwest corner is going to probably need to get some right-of-way from there too.
And power pole
I'm not real
relocation.
sure where we're going to be at the northeast corner, but we'll see what happens with that one.
What we're waiting on right now on that is, once this is approved, the contract will determine, the engineer will then do the survey to determine what right-of-way is actually needed, so we can plan for purchasing that. And as the AutoZone, when it comes in, if a development was to come in, we always require them to dedicate the ultimate right-of-way.
If development pays for it, does Caltrans have to concur?
Yeah, because it is Caltrans right-of-way, they're gonna have to ultimately authorize and sign off on, one, the plans, and two, at what point they will allow literally the signal arms, and for it to be electrified to get the signals going again. They're not opposed to us, what we like to say is blow up the intersection and get it to build out configuration. They're not necessarily opposed to us doing that and getting the electrical ends, and then all you have to do is add the poles later, because it only makes sense. You don't want to tear it up later. They're not necessarily opposed to that. We've had good meetings with respect to that, but they have standards by which they will allow a traffic signal to go on. That's a state highway. If it wasn't a state highway, we wouldn't really be dealing with this. We'd be slapping it up.
I just look at Hillmar and they got a light every other block.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions, Garner?
I make a motion, we approve a budget adjustment and supplemental agreement for professional engineering service for design of the Highway 33 and NU Avenue intersection improvements with AECom for the $48,005.
Any motion? Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Move on to item 11. Item from District 5 Supervisor Jim DeMartini.
Good evening, Mayor Kate and council members. Just a few things tonight. The Healthcare Task Force will meet here in these chambers next week on March 22nd. Packets went out yesterday, so they're probably, I don't know if you received them yet, but there's a lot in them this time, because what we're trying to do is become a nonprofit. So bylaws and articles of incorporation are in there for everyone to review. This is something fairly new to me, so I've got some help on it. We even have an attorney that's providing free legal services for it. As we do all these programs, and we've got money from public entities, and we solicit grants from organizations in the future, it was necessary for us to become a 501c3 nonprofit, so we'd have a real identity. So that's the process that we're in now, and we've got quite a bit done this last month. And our health and exercise programs are also going on at this time. It appears to be your successor agency for the redevelopment is pretty well done. I approve you're signed off on your appointment today, and have to think too hard about it. So it's everything seems to be in place in just about all the cities, because the deadline was coming up. So everything is in on time. It looks like that formation of that agency is done. And as of the last time I was here, I've heard nothing about the Oristema Creek flood project. I think that we have enough money now to get to the chief's report and get out of feasibility and into design sometime. I don't think there's going to be any more money required, although I haven't heard anything lately. But the last meeting we had, everything looked like it was on track as well as it could be for this project. That's all I have.
Any questions for Jim? Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Item 12, items from City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Yesterday, I went to a meeting in Modesto, and it's really about, again, the redevelopment agency. What was formerly the redevelopment agency, it's now a successor agency, and an oversight board, and first I was a little taken aback because all these, Turlock's there and Ceres, all the cities are there, and they're talking about, well, we're getting our oversight committee ready, and we plan on meeting like twice a month for the first 6 or 7 months, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, really, is it that much? But and then I think with the reality set in, they probably got development agreements with developers and large owner participation agreements. Our perspective from the Newman perspective and the Newman successor agency perspective, really what we're going to need our oversight board to do is a couple different things. One is to authorize and approve our revised obligation payment schedule is your biggest thing. The other thing is we still have 3 pieces of property that are going to have to be disposed of, 2 of which we believe automatically should just come back to the city. And then the third, we were already working with, a neighboring property owner in the business park to acquire that property anyway. So I don't think our oversight board is going to be too complicated. So with that being said, at this point in time, we have a number of, it's a 7-member panel. The Stanislaus County Office of Education has appointed Superintendent Felt from our local school district to sit on there. The Turlock Mosquito Abatement District has appointed one of their board members, which is Kern Honeywell, a local businessman, to sit on that board. Supervisor DeMartini will sit on that board. The YCC, which is the Yosemite Community College District, has appointed Miss Ann DeMartini to sit on that board. At your next meeting, there are two spots that still need to be put out there. One of those spots is an appointee by the mayor, and then we'll get council concurrence on that. And then the last one is an employee of the former redevelopment agency, of which we have two. Myself would be three, so we'll bring forward that name as well. And then that'll be 6, and then the 7th is a member of the public that will be appointed by Supervisor DeMartini, as he indicated. He'll be doing that on the 23rd. You doing that on the 22nd?
Formally, but I signed up on
Okay.
it today.
So that'll be moving forward, and you'll just start hearing more and more about that. But again, I don't think, if you're hearing a lot of the communities talk it up a lot, I don't think ours is going to be that big. I mean, it's not going to be as small as Patterson, which is they have no debt and they have no bonds, so they're basically just turning the key and throwing it away, and they're done. They should not even that big a deal. I don't even think they got a payment obligation schedule, so we'll continue to bring that forward. So your next meeting there'll be an item, and then that oversight board has to meet and approve the ROPS, which is the revised obligation payment schedule, prior to April 15th, so we'll have to start talking about a meeting date for that. Just some real cleanup items. Tomorrow night, the Newman and Quaski Centennial Planning Committee meeting, 6 p.m. If you did not see it in the local paper this last Thursday, and it's probably in today's paper, we ran an advertisement. The planning committee has elected to reach out to the community for some help in naming the ceremony, the celebration. So we're hoping that the public will get involved with that. So that advertisement has gone out last Thursdays. We go out today, so we hit the general circulation, and they're due, I believe, next Thursday about noon or so, right around there. But you can, and there's also historical information on our website for those who have decided that they want to participate in that. We put the Diamond Jubilee book on there, as well as the Centennial book on there as well. So, now the cleanup item, City Hall is closed this Friday for City Furlough Day. Also, to remind the council, and we'll remind you again, March 30th, which is a Friday, City Hall will be closed. Monday, April 2nd, City Hall will be closed, and those are the days we're making our move to our new building at 938. This week the furniture is going in, the counters and casework's going in, so it's actually moving along really good. Well, it's starting to take shape. That big room that you saw shrunk because there's a lot of stuff in there now, so it's interesting to see the movement's going on there, though. Staff is really excited, but we kind of want to have it done and hurry up. Taking up a lot of time. And then just a reminder, your annual 700 forms are due. If you have not submitted those, I don't know who has and who hasn't. The FDPC will come after you if you don't. In fact, a former planning commissioner who moved on, they called up and they're rallying us up because he moved down south recently, and he didn't submit his paper, so I don't think that gentleman's gonna really care. They may come after you if you don't submit your form. So, with that, that's all that I had right now.
Do you want to mention the phone conversation we were having with Zach?
Yes. Thank you, Mayor. I meant to put that. So, it's been a couple of weeks, but we had an interesting phone call. A television show called Today in America had contacted us. They were considering Newman for a piece, and what they do is they basically tape a 30-minute show. Then they run about a 5-minute clip of it on a national channel. Typically, they've used either CNN or Discovery Channel Interesting places to live, work, and play was one of the topics. So they had a conversation with the mayor and I, and then they asked if we'd be interested, and we said yes. So they submitted some additional information to us. But once you start reading through the fine details, part of it was, there's a $25,000 fee that we pay to them.
We just bowed out.
Yeah. So I want to apologize because I didn't ask your permission, but I respectfully declined. I didn't think that, part of the conversation the mayor and I had were, let's say we were building a big business park, or we had a really big project coming on and we really wanted to tout and try to get some businesses to move here. Maybe at that point in time you could really have that conversation about whether we wanted to invest $25,000 in that. Because the reality was it was one national airing and 30 or 35 regional airings in the area. But I think we're a little early in the process right now. We don't have a business park. We're not breaking ground on something. We're not really highly touting anything. So we respectfully bowed out. I thought, I sent them a letter just saying, look, we're not ready, and maybe in a year or so we can contact you and reevaluate this thing. So
they touted the fact that Terry Bradshaw narrates this piece,
but he doesn't come out.
Yeah, he doesn't actually come here. But as I read the documents, and out of that 30-minute piece, 5 minutes would be attributed to Newman.
Right.
And so I equated 5 minutes to $5,000 a minute. And I just didn't think that was a smart move. And Michael, when we sit down and talked about it, and there's no sense in them even calling us again because I didn't think it'd be a wise expenditure of taxpayers' money. But I mean, it was intriguing at first, right, until they threw the $25,000 figure out, and then it became less intriguing.
Yeah, you're flattered at first until their marketing hits you.
Yeah.
You'll learn.
Yeah.
Now, if it's Joe Montana, it might be a different story.
Yeah. I like Steelers anyway. Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome, man. Thank you.
Staff. Chief? Stephanie, sorry.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Tonight I'll be presenting the Community Development Department's 2011 annual report. Oh, let me turn this on. 2011 was a busy year. In addition to our regular activities such as Planning Commission and Architectural Review, we also had our first intern, which was Emily Semino. We completed a number of surveys and reports, both annual and new reports. We completed a municipal greenhouse gas inventory with the Great Valley Center and applied for numerous grants and awards. Just little snippets there. Our GIS program is improving every year. We're constantly creating and adding data as well as finalizing our internet connection with Stanislaus County. So we now have more access to data through them. Grant activities in 2011 remained consistent with over $2.3 million in rollover and new grant allocations, such as CDBG, EECBG, Home, NSP 1 and 3, and our Sustainable Communities Grant, also known as Prop 84. Completed projects. 2011, we saw a number of projects for the department, including the development of our EECBG scope of work, also known as our LED streetlight project, and the initiation of the City of Newman Infrastructure Mapping Internship Program with California State University Stanislaus. Really excited about this. In fact, our interns start tomorrow. We're already had initial training at the county, and tomorrow we're going to give them safety training, and hopefully, if the weather allows us, they'll be able to go out there and plot a couple points and get our base map started. So we're really excited about that. Environmentals. The department processed 8 CEQA and 6 NEPA environmental reviews. On to goals. Last year, the department identified 7 goals, and I'm happy to report that 6 have been met, and 1 is still pending. I've started a lot of research on this. It's just with everything else going on, didn't get a chance to finish it, but we're going to finish that this year. That leads me to goals for 2012. We want to continue grant writing efforts and further paper reduction efforts, as well as finalizing that accessory building municipal code revision and creating a professional office zoning district. This actually was a result of our citywide rezone for conformance with the general plan. It was suggested through the public input that we have a professional office district as opposed to just regular commercial. So that's why that's being done. And create a citywide GIS base map, and that's in accordance with our intern program that we're starting tomorrow. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions of Stephanie, comments?
Stephanie, on project grants, specifically, do you have a list of them, or it's just as they come up, that's the ones that you're applying for?
Well, yeah, on an annual basis, any ones that come up that we're eligible for, we apply, and that's usually with California Consulting and with staff. You know, we try to get as many heads together as possible so it's a more successful grant application. But last year, we had everything from U.S. soccer grant to infrastructure grants to the pool grant that we're still waiting to hear back from. So, yep.
Good luck.
Remember that
Thanks.
steak and lobster dinner?
Yeah.
Crab. I like crab.
Okay.
We can have all the crab.
That's all right. We'll go that way too.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Mayor, just one point that she kind of glanced over, but that internship program with the CSU Stanislaus, that's all Stephanie, and she really, I mean, she made the phone call, she got them all in there, and she's had some help with Garner because he helps understand it, but, you know, she really spearheaded that project. It's going to be a good project for us because, one, we're going to get a lot of data in the GIS program, and the thing with GIS, the more data you have, the more powerful the tool. So we're actually going to get students to come out and do that for us. And so we don't have to pay somebody to go out and do it. And so she'll manage the project. So that's got long-term ramifications for the city, and it's going to be a good project.
Great. Thanks again, Stephanie. Staff, Chief, no? Lou, nothing? Garner, nothing? Vicki, you want to say something? You're good? All right. We'll move on to council members. Councilman Hutchins.
Nothing tonight.
I don't have anything tonight.
Nick.
Nothing tonight.
Wow. Bob?
Just a quick question. I noticed, Stephanie, on your report, there was 100 street lights that are slated to be replaced. I just think that we probably need those lights replaced sooner than later because, you know, it seems like security is better and people probably feel a lot safer when there's good lighting.
Yeah, I got an email last week from PG&E, they're all in, and then we're hoping to get some more grant funding this year. They actually let me know that they're hoping to get some grant funding, and we can put a few more in. So I'm hoping to maybe try to get another 100 if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
If you drive around town, you kind of notice the difference. The old ones kind of have the yellowish.
Especially on
orange
the
tint.
Highway 33.
Yeah, and then the other ones are white. And it works
Yeah.
really well. So.
Yeah.
And it saves money.
And they last longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want one in your neighborhood?
No, thanks. I've got one right in my front yard.
Well, you have connection. You might be able to get one.
Well, you know that story too, huh?
Okay. Thanks, Bob. I just have a couple of things. Last Wednesday, the 7th, I had the honor of attending a Eagle Scout Court of Honor honoring Austin Mendoza, who was awarded his Eagle Scout pin. It was just really quite the ceremony. I had never seen one before, and they go through all the stages and everything and how he's earned all of his pins and badges. And they had it at the Westside Theater, which was a perfect setting, and they had a gentleman from San Francisco come and preside over the meeting, and they had 4 other former, well, I guess once you are Eagle Scout, you're always an Eagle Scout, come. And so it was really a neat ceremony, and I presented him with a proclamation from the city recognizing his accomplishments. So again, I just want to share that with the council and recognize Austin for getting his Eagle Scout Award, which was a great accomplishment. Tomorrow night, I was invited to attend Government Night, which is hosted by Mayor Lazar of Turlock and Supervisor Kays, who represents that district, and that's in Turlock at the Madera School, where they, once a year, they host what they call Government Night, and gives the public a chance to come in and talk and ask questions of the elected officials. And so Mayor Lazar invited me to attend that, so I'll be going over and seeing how that night goes. Should be interesting. Just a reminder of the chamber dinner is March 24th. If you haven't got your tickets already, see Madam President Vicki. She can hook you up. And I was invited by Wayne from the library. I think most of the mayors in the county were doing it. I think I was the last one to sign up. They're having a mayor's book reading club, sort of club thing. So I signed up and I registered with the library and got a kit. And so I have my first reading on the 29th at the Newman Library. And I'll probably try to come here and hold it here in the chambers once. I think it might be neat for the kids. But also as part of that, I would invite any council member who wishes to also participate in that and get you hooked up, get you with a kit. If you'd like to spend an afternoon with the kids, I wouldn't think it'd take much more than 15, 20 minutes if you'd like to do sit-down reading. And it covers different areas of the book, of how to read, how to comprehend, and different things. And so it should be fun. So if anybody's interested in doing that, let me know, and I'll get you plugged into that as well. And I'll just do a real quick update on the mayor's working group. As you're all aware, and our attorney gave a legal opinion, in his opinion, that there is no conflict of interest. From my point as mayor of the city of Newman and my connection with StanCog. As you know, we meet once a month as a group, and it's an informal meeting. It's mostly over dinner, and we talk about issues throughout the county. The council member in Patterson has chosen to challenge the group, so we met with our StanCog attorney, and even though there's only 5 of us who sit on StanCog, it is not a conflict of interest. The only conflict comes is there's a couple of mayors who sit as alternates, and none of us are really aware of that. So a remedy has been made in the eyes of our StanCog attorney now. He does not see a conflict of interest at all. Again, it's a very informal meeting. We meet once a month for about an hour, and so I think that's been brought to a resolution and closed, and if the council member and this group out of Sacramento chooses to pursue it, then so be it. And she'll end up costing our city money, taxes, to see his thing through court, but I don't think it's going to go that far. So I just want to keep you informed that the mayor's group and our StanCog attorney does not feel that there is any kind of conflict of interest at all.
Brown Act violation.
Or Brown Act violation, I should say. I'm sorry, Brown Act violation. And the only nexus was they thought just because there was 2 mayors that sat as alternates could be construed as a Brown Act violation. That's been since resolved, so there is none. Any questions? I'll share that with you. Okay. And if there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned.